Yeah. Well, got me like thinking about this and wanting to do an episode on it was in one of your recent articles, you were talking about Pope Francis and remarks he made recently about declining birth rates that are going on. And he
Right.
made a comment I was reading the remarks he made, and he was talking about how, I think this would have been at the end of this past April,
Mm.
two different experiences within like the same time frame in St. Peter's Square where people came and they had a dog in like a baby stroller, or
Right.
someone was like, like, Your Excellency, or I guess, let's see, yeah, like whatever you address
Your
the Pope
Holiness.
as, Your Holiness, yeah. Your Excellency is the bishop.
Right.
They went, Your Holiness, will you bless like my baby? And he like looked at it and it was a dog, and he was like, oh my gosh, no. Like, so anyway, there was that experience that he had. So then he remarked on it, and then you mentioned it in your article, and I was like, that's an interesting, you see it all over American culture. You see like, my child has paws, and I thought we could just address it. So why do you think this is occurring in today's society?
Well, I think it would be great, Colleen, just to use the Holy Father's words himself, because he's really speaking to an issue that I think so many people are not maybe considering in the conversation. And this is what he says. He noted that, we are, with the falling birth rates, are a sign of an underlying spiritual disease. He says, quote, the challenge of natality, being well open to children, is a matter of hope. And I think that, what we here are talking about is that so many within our society, the way they approach this, so they're approaching it from hearing the culture makers, it's the language of the day. And what do we hear? And we've heard now for decades, a growing population, the planet cannot sustain the population. Also, we have to acknowledge the fact that sadly, many people are coming from wounded family situations. They're coming from broken homes, or they're coming from different wounded moments of life. And so their experience of family and children are very different. And so I like how our Holy Father is approaching. He's saying that children are always been in every age a sign of hope, a belief in that there's something to invest in tomorrow. And I think that's the way to approach the subject, is to look at it, what has brought someone to make a decision. Now, here we're talking about people who have fully intended not to welcome a child.
Yeah.
Right? That's very different.
That's why I wanted to clarify that we did grow up with animals, and that we're not against pets.
Correct.
And we're not against, like, animals are a great gift from God, but they aren't humans, and your dog doesn't replace your child.
Exactly. And we know that in anyone that's had pets and has pets, we know that, the emotions they can also evoke from us, and the fact of enjoyment that they bring into many people's lives. And we see, that in so many ways, especially among children and among the elderly and some of the handicapped. But we can give prime examples of how beautiful how they can serve, and how they can also be of emotional benefit to people. We see that. So, but here what the Holy Father's making note of is the full intent for a married couple, to close themselves off, to the beauty of human life, the beauty of welcoming a child and children, and the beauty of believing that not only do you want to open your heart to life, but you also believe in tomorrow, and that you are wanting to share this life with your children and their children's children, and so forth. And so he really does make this, he says, it's not an illusion. This hope is not an illusion, but it's an optimism. It's believing in something more. And so I think that's an important point the Holy Father makes.